I was both the perpetrator and the victim in my story, the pain that I was experiencing. Because God never told me, ever, ever, to start seeking another job. He gave me very clear instructions. So the tears, the anger, the frustration, the pain I was feeling, the stress, everything, that was me. That was all me. And I had did it for a year. And it was the first time in my life I could ever say that I was that clearly disobedient. Hi everyone, so I'm Antonique J and I'm excited for this video today. If you're seeing this video on YouTube, this is your first time seeing me because this is my first time on YouTube. Okay, so this story starts almost exactly 1 year to the day that I'm making this video. So if you know about Sarah Jakes Roberts, you know about her Woman Involved conference, and last year I was going to attend. I was scheduled to attend. So before the conference, she does this 40-day fast. So I had joined the fast. At the time I had joined the fast, I was struggling. I was struggling spiritually. I was struggling mentally. I was struggling just in my life. There were so many things that had happened that year that just simply did not go to plan. um, God had blessed me with these incredible 2 years. These incredible, really 3 years, but the 2 years prior to last year were just incredible years for me. So I was a little bottle of faith. I was pouring out to everybody, sharing my story. So last year, I graduated. I am a therapist. So I graduated from school and I had all these plans and I had all these ideas of what, that summer was going to look like. And it was just a no. I mean, the end of school was extremely hard. The path to actually becoming licensed became very, very difficult. It was prolonged. My travel plans was canceled. Where I thought my finances would be was not. Like, there was just so much happening. But more emotionally, I was experiencing just a lot of disappointment. I was disappointed in myself. I was like, God, is my faith not big enough? So that's just kind of where I was. That's kind of like, a little bit of backstory. Okay. So I went into the fast now 40 days for faith. And I want to say about the middle of the fast, I had started to hear very clear, God tell me to do something. God told me to do YouTube. And I was like, oh goodness, this is so great. This is my first time ever hearing from God so clearly, right? Like God is speaking clear to me. And I wasn't excited about it. I was excited that I had heard God clearly, but for some reason I wasn't excited. And so I remember, how something's happening to you spiritually and you're kind of grappling with it maybe. And so you kind of feel like you have a secret. So I didn't say anything. I just kind of kept it to myself. But I was sure that he had told me that, but my emotions didn't match. So just think about that. That's really the basis for this whole story, me, and my silliness. So it's August, and let's say the fast started August 5th, and around the middle of August, I had seen this job. Now, to me, this is a perfect job. Like everything about it. It was doing the work I wanted to do. I have a history of nonprofit. It was serving. One of my spiritual gifts, along with faith, is serving. So I'm like, oh God, this what this fast is about, right? Like this is what I need to be doing. The organization was incredible. They had 4-day work week. It was like more money than I had made. It was a step up in my career. So August 28th, now remember the step fast started August 5th. August 28th, I got an interview request. So I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is what I need to be doing. Thank you, Lord. Thank you. So I then, go down this path. Now, I am so dedicated to this job. I'm believing that this job is for me, that it has consumed me. I'm praying morning, noon, and night. I'm in my word. I'm going to church. Like I'm showing up spiritually. And I'm just giving my all. I'm talking to God morning, noon, and night. I think I was fasting probably the entire time. One interview, two interviews, three interviews, four interviews. And I'm like, God, thank you. And look, during this process, you've strengthened my faith. Like, I'm doing more than I've ever done. And I feel in my spirit, y'all, I feel in my spirit that this is coming. the same way I had felt those 2 years. Like I said, anything that I was praying for, anything that I really wanted, it was coming to me. I had that type of faith times 10. So I'm just waiting for them to say yes. So interview one, two, three, four. I make it to the final round. Now I got the first interview in August. The last interview was in November. So this is a very long time. Now, mind you, God is stretching my faith, but I'm stressed out. Fast forward to like November 18th, I get a no. And I was devastated. I was destroyed because I'm thinking, well, how, like, what? How could it be a no? I asked God to strengthen my faith. Now, remember what God actually told me in August. So it's a no. So then I said, well, okay, that's not what God has for me. I'm going to do the YouTube. I'm going to do YouTube because God does, that's not the job. God told me to do YouTube, so that's what I'll do. But I wasn't excited about it. And I didn't really see how that was aligned. Now, mind you, I've had a great relationship with God for a long time. God has saved me through I was in the grave and God came and got me. Like that's really like the deep part of my story. So I'm like, well, I can see God using me through YouTube. I can see that. I can see my life being great with YouTube. I could, because God's a great God. If He tells you to do something, it's for a reason. So I never doubted it, but I just didn't do it. So I never doubted it, but I didn't do it, right? Okay. So around November, I had decided I'm too stressed out. It was such a long process. People are praying for me at their churches. I had told everybody because this is what faith is. Um, so I decided, well, I'm not going to apply for another job. I'm just going to do YouTube and do therapy, which that's what I'm supposed to do, right? Around that time, I had saw another job, and I'm like, oh, this one was a little bit more money, but this was for an organization I had worked for before. I believed in this organization. It was more responsibility. You got to travel. So I'm like, this is it. God, thank you. Like, you didn't give me that other job because you gave me this one. I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is great. And I had worked for the organization before. So I worked for a piece of the organization before. So I start down the path again. It's pretty intense, this one. I made it to the third interview. I think it was the final one again around the end of February. So I think I started I think I started interviewing in December. And I think the last interview was in February, March. It was a no. Now, at this point, I feel that I'm growing weary. I'm very stressed out. I'm just becoming very doubtful. Like, I feel like my faith is wavering. And I'm just kind of upset. I'm not gonna lie, I'm just kind of upset. So I ended up joining a Christian group, to look for community. And I'll talk about that later, kind of in the story. So I'm like, I can't interview anymore because at this time I've been interviewing for almost 6 months. Like, it's been a very long time, just straight interviewing, intense interviews. And I'm like, I can't do this. God, I cannot do this anymore. I know you know where I'm going. Like, I'm telling God I can't do this thing that, yeah, He never told me to do. So then finally, I'm like, all right, I'm now pouring into YouTube. I'm doing a lot of research. I got some equipment. I actually do my first video at the time during all of this. And I was not excited about the video. I was just like, I rewatched the video back. The video was boring. I'm watching me like, oh, girl, God, girl. And I'm not excited. I'm not passionate about it. So I'm like, well, how can this be for me if I'm not passionate about this thing? So then I see another job. Oh, I see this organization. And this is the organization of my dreams. Like, oh my God, this is for me. God, thank you so much. I don't even know what I was doing with them other jobs. So now I'm telling everybody my testimony about how God prepared me for this moment. Now, mind you, all the things I had said, remind you what God actually told me to do in August. Like, think about that. So now I'm in another interview process. I think it was March that I heard from the job. I applied. I got the first interview. First interview was incredible. It was one of the best interviews I ever had in my life. So now I'm telling a Christian group, y'all pray for me, telling them my testimony. God has something better for you. I'm going through the process. Now, something different is happening during this time. Because I'm in the Christian group, I'm a little bit more in the word differently. I'm not necessarily praying for a thing. I'm praying for my relationship with God. I'm praying for me to understand who God is better. I'm praying for um, God to allow me to understand the Bible. So I'm not necessarily praying for the job anymore. I'm praying for my relationship with God. I'm praying for God to allow me to understand myself as a child of God. So I'm just different. I'm having a different experience with God as I'm going through this interview process. So just keep that in mind. Like this time that I'm going through this last interview process is a little bit different than the times before. Okay, so that's important. So stay with me. All right. So one thing that was happening in the Christian group is that they would fast. So I'm on this fast, and it's incredible fast. And I realized that my prayers had just really started to change, and I just wanted to be in line with what God wanted for me. Now, originally, I was so sure that it was the job, but I want to say things had started to change. Like I had started to just change spiritually, and I just really wanted to be in alignment with God. I wanted to be different. I wanted to prepare myself to. I wanted to prepare myself for what God had in store for me. And so I realized now, looking back, I realized I had kind of taken the job out of my thoughts and what I was praying for. My prayers would just change to whatever you have for me, and so we fasted. I'm just gonna like put a pin in it because we fasted. People in the group was fasting for me once again, and then I heard from the job, and it was a no. So when I read that email, I didn't have the feelings I thought I was gonna have. I felt guilty. I felt disappointed. I would say disappointment was probably the biggest feeling that I had during that time, but it wasn't disappointment in God, it was disappointment in me. Something came over me. And I'll tell you, I worked the rest of the day, but I was really in silence a lot. I couldn't, there was another feeling that was associated with, me reading the email. And later that night, I had thought of something. 3 weeks before I got that email, I was praying. I really, really, I have faith. I know that this is going to happen. So I just pray that I get, and job didn't come out. I remember it so distinctly. Job didn't come out. I prayed, I am prepared for whatever you have in store for me, that I get whatever you have for me. And then for the first time in my life, I prayed, God, I don't want anything that you don't want for me. I just want to be in alignment. And I said it with sadness. So if this sounds sad, it's because that's how I said it. And I think subconsciously, that was me knowing, but I also think that was me really feeling the Holy Spirit and preparing me for what I was about to face, but also giving me the understanding that it just wasn't what God had for me. So I went into kind of like a period of sadness. Um, and I realized I was experiencing grief. And I wasn't grieving, the jobs. I was grieving what I thought my life would look like. I was actually grieving my plans for me, what I thought my life would look like. I was grieving my hopes. I was grieving the loss because I knew that I was done. I was done being disobedient. But with that grief came anger because I realized I caused my own pain. I was the perpetrator of my pain. I was both the perpetrator and the victim in my story, the pain that I was experiencing, because God never told me, ever, ever to start seeking another job. He gave me very clear instructions. So the tears, the anger, the frustration, the pain I was feeling, the stress, everything, that was me. That was all me. And I had did it for a year. And it was the first time in my life I could ever say that I was that clearly disobedient, like knowingly disobedient. I didn't realize it at the time, but I realize it now. Well, obviously, I'm doing what he's finally told me to do, but I didn't realize it at the time. So, of course, I'm like, well, then, God, I guess, making excuses. Well, the reason why I didn't do it is because I don't feel passionate about it and I don't have a bunch of ideas. And, I'm going to just be talking about A, B, and C. And then I'm like, who told you that you was going to be talking about A, B, and C? Something I didn't do is ask what God wanted the YouTube channel to be about. Ask for a fresh flow, fresh creativity. I didn't do any of that. I said, YouTube, okay, this is what YouTube looks like right now in this world. This is what the girls are doing. I don't really want to do that. So it's not for me. Not thinking that God can give me something to stand out. Like God can give me something to be excited about. My next time fasting, my next time fasting, I fasted about God. I want to be excited about what you have for me. Give me fresh ideas. Give me things I can do that I could do long term. Because I think I was also wondering about sustainability and knowing myself, and that's a gift God had given me. I had been in therapy, so I had a new version of myself. I understood myself better, just what I could do and what I couldn't do. Now, not what I could do and what I couldn't do in God. This is me talking. So when I seen through my eyes what YouTube would look like through my eyes, what I was capable of through my eyes, it didn't look that great. I'm gonna be honest, it didn't look fun. I spent time with God submitting this this whole thing, whatever this is going to be to him, and I got excited. I got some new ideas. I have an idea of what this will be. Um, and if you even see, I feel good about it. But why in the world did I take myself, Anthony, through a year of that? And it was because I thought I knew everything. I think also I didn't really understand what it was I was praying for. Now, remind you, I had spent a lot of the year praying that God strengthen my faith, but I wanted Him to strengthen my faith in things, in opportunities, in what I wanted. He answered my prayer. That 40-day fast did not go to waste. It never does, but I mean, I'm talking about through my human mind. Um, he strengthened my faith in Him. That's what all of this is about. And I didn't even remember that that was actually the prayer. This is so crazy, y'all. God basically said, hey, it's me. Thank you for coming to me. Here's the car. There's the path. I'm right here. Let's go. And I said, oh my goodness, God, the car. The modality that I'm gonna do it. The path. Oh, I don't see all the way down it, but I see it. Oh, this is all for me. Thank you. Clear as day. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, but look at this path. Let's go down this one. That's literally what happened. And he joined me because he's a great father. But after a year, I'm back. I'm just more beaten, more burned, a little bit more disheveled, a little bit more raggedy. Um, Maybe got some dirt on me, some experiences that I'm now dragging, that I've added to my life, and I'm back at the car. And I'm ready to go down the path. And so if you watched really the whole entire story, you'll see that I didn't have to go through that, but it was good. Because I realized that when you hear from God, move the first time. And if you don't, what he told you is not going to change. It's not going to change. Oh, but there's a very important part that I missed. It's something that happened in August. So you may say, well, girl, thinking back, why did you decide to get a job? And I realized, one, that's what I knew how to do. I knew how to get a job. I knew how to advance in my career. I was very well versed in that. Um, it was what I did. It's what I had been doing the majority of my life. So that's what I knew how to do. That was easier. I wanted to do it my way. That's all that was. I had gotten a word from God and said, okay, God, thanks for the word. This is how I'm going to do it because this is what I know how to do. I don't know how to just do that. Mind you, God had already prepared me. I was in a whole career field. I didn't ask, okay, God, well, if I'm not going to be doing advocacy through this channel, how can I do advocacy in my everyday work? I didn't do that. I said, let me pull stuff from the past. Let me pull my the records of Antonique, the books of Neek, go through it. What does Antony know how to do? Instead of looking at things above, instead of looking at the future and saying, God, there's some stuff I don't know how to do. Give me fresh oil, give me fresh word. Teach God, reveal to me the skills that I need to be able to do this. And another thing that's so crazy, I'm like, I like to learn and I'm not really like learning. You know, I was thinking about going back to school. God's giving me a whole new thing to learn. I just didn't want to see it through fresh eyes. I wanted to go back to that dusty book of Neek, the Old Testament, and get that information. That information will inform what I'm doing, but I'm creating new life. I'm creating a new version. I'm creating new chapters. And I'll need new word and new skills and new experiences. And oftentimes we do that. We think, let me look at who I am and what I know about myself and what I know about my capabilities, and let me do this new thing that God has for me with only that. I'm not saying I didn't need that because all of that is coming out today. Everything that Nick has experienced, yes, I'm talking in third person, but everything that I have experienced is coming out. I'm utilizing that. That is who I am, but I'm also transforming. So I can't just rely on what I know of myself. It's wonderful that I know a lot about myself, but I don't know everything. I don't know everything about who I am to become. So I have to be honest and I have to have faith that God has or will give me what I need. That's where faith came in. So I'm here and I'll be, nurturing my relationship with God, my relationship with myself, my relationship with my body, my relationship with friends. I'll just be nurturing Neek. And I invite you to join that journey with me. I'm just like so excited. I'm so excited that this is happening. This is just who I am. And I just invite you to journey with me. I really want to make this collaborative. Like, I want to hear about what you're doing, how you're nurturing yourself. We're going to be talking about inner child work. We're going to be talking about some therapy things. We're going to talk about really just being in this world, figuring things out and nurturing ourselves to prepare for what God has in store for us or what God has us doing right now. So if you have any questions, any comments that are kind, post them below and we will go from there. So thank you all.